Game four was a war of attrition. The Oklahoma City Thunder went into Indianapolis and erased a 10-point second half deficit and walked out with their first road win of the finals. Final score 111 104 against the Pacers. Now we're tied at a 2-2 series, and I feel like the pressure has skyrocketed on both teams. Today's video, we're going to be breaking down exactly how OKC pulled this one off, what adjustments both sides need to make in game five, a potential swing game in this NBA Finals chess match. We got to go ahead and look at the game four recap here. We got to talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a little bit closer. 35 points, but it's really what he did in the late game execution that made this legendary. And also, this was a Shai legacy game. He scored 15 points in the final 4 minutes 38 seconds. I mean, that's including big buckets. 12-1 Thunder run. It does not get better than that, man. MVP stuff by him. It wasn't really just him. Jalen Williams, J-Dub scored 27 points, making shots from all three levels. Caruso came off the bench, 20 points, one of his best games as a Thunder in the playoffs. Chet Holmgren cleaned the glass, grabbing 15 rebounds on 14 points. Indiana also had a pretty solid performance comparative to, them playing against the Thunder. Pascal had 20 in this one. Haliburton had 18, and Obi Toppin chipped in with 17, and that seems like their consistent set of guys. But the Pacers really just fell apart in the fourth quarter. They shot 27% from the field. They also missed all 8 of their three-point attempts. I just don't see that happening in the clutch for them, moving forward. But it was great defense by us. Rick Carlisle also even admitted in the postgame that their ball movement pretty much completely stalled. They really tried to mismatch hunt against Chet, and I think that was a big mistake on their part. And that was a big mistake in game one for us to not have Chet on the floor when when we ran a smaller lineup. And this time we, righted that wrong, and we did not make any mistakes on that end. And it was just a momentum shifter. OKC take back home court advantage. Now the finals are a best of 3. So we've got to talk about game 5. It goes down on Monday, 8:30 Eastern, as you guys already know that. Thunder adjustments, let's talk about them. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we have to pretty much load manage him, manage his energy throughout the game. And I feel like we, had a little bit of a different set of, I guess, putting him into the lineup at different stages, got him a little bit more rest. We didn't put him at longer spurts. We kept it to shorter spurts to keep him a little bit more fresh going into the fourth quarter. And we saw what he did in the fourth quarter when he's not exhausted. We got to, run in transition, but force the turnovers and, use that as our transition buckets. And I feel like we did that really well. Caruso, Dort, J-Dub applied pressure all night pretty much, turned defense into offense. We controlled the pace pretty much in the fourth quarter. They really had control of this game for 4.5 quarters, I would say. The last 5 minutes is where we turned up the pressure, and I think that's how our game plan should be. Stick around with this team, have our starting guys pretty much be as healthy as possible and rested as possible, and I feel like we have the better overall team lineup, and that was obviously what was predicted going into this. The third thing for the Thunder, as far as adjustments, we've got to continue to defend the paint. We're winning the paint battle overall. I believe we had 50 points in the paint, and they only had 36. So we got to continue to go ahead and trap the pick and roller. We've been doubling Haliburton off of the high screens, especially with Hartenstein. It's maybe not worked, but it's at least, giving Haliburton different looks at different times. We can't just, give him too much of the same thing, always let him go down force. So I feel like that's a good adjustment by us, forcing him into some tough floaters, kickouts, and just, having him guessing. And the Pacers adjustments for next game are going to be freeing up Haliburton off ball. Similar to Shai, Haliburton started getting tired due to Lou Dort. So I feel like, TJ McConnell could be a different addition they could have in instead of maybe a Mathurin, who's a little bit less, more turnover prone than a TJ McConnell. It could be something that could work for them, but I still expect some high screens, off-ball movement from him, and that's really what they got to do with him. The other thing that they have to continue to improve on, they had 18 assists in Game 4. I feel like they can do a lot better. They didn't shoot as well as they normally did. I believe they only shot 36 from the three-point line, so I feel like they can do a little bit better on that end. And then from a bench spark perspective, Game 3, we saw what Mathurin and McConnell did. They brought a lot of energy. And this one, because of the lineup change with Shai and a couple of the other starters for us, Carlisle really didn't know, how to manage the bench unit as well. So I feel like that was a great adjustment by Mark, but I feel like Rick Carlisle will look at the film and, readjust for game 5. We've got to look at some of these key matchups, themes that we're seeing. SGA versus Haliburton, staggered bursts by both of them, freeing up both guys off of screens, curls. And the other thing that we got to look up for in terms of matchups, the transition game, each team's trying to push tempo kind of in a different way after stops and steals for the Thunder versus whereas, I guess every time they're doing an inbound play with Tyrese Haliburton, they're trying to push pace. So it's a little bit different for each team. And then the interior defense from the Thunder perspective, we've got to continue to trap some of the pick and roll coverage. Holmgren as an anchor to that, he did fantastic overall in terms of his defense. And I think he's going to be the key in this series. Siakam, he has to get more elbow touches and short roll reads. I feel like he didn't get involved in the fourth quarter. He only had one bucket, I believe, in the fourth for them. Bench rotation, we got to continue to just ride Caruso and hope, the J-Dub playmaking continues to happen for us. And what they have to hope on and bank on is essentially Mathurin and McConnell to help out with their role play, like, sparking some minutes where they can get some extra offense from them to where Tyrese Haliburton can kind of close it out. And that's what they've been relying on. And, we'll see how game 5 goes. We're pretty much here. It's a deadlocked series. The next game is just going to be about, smarter adjustments, executing a lot more cleanly. This game was mucked up, maybe because of the referees, just how tired everyone was, because there was short rest in this one. But game 5 is on Monday, so they get plenty of rest, plenty of time to look at film. I feel like both teams are going to be humming on both ends. I'd love to hear you guys, depending on whoever wins this series, whether it's the Pacers or the Thunder, who do you guys think would be your finals MVP pick between both teams? And then what's your game 5 prediction, Thunder or Pacers? If you guys enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, stay tuned. We've got more coverage on the way. Until next time, peace out.